What is up, everyone? This is Dayv Doberne, aka Sunyveil, and I'm happy to be back. It's been about a week since my last video, but we're going to continue on our Let's Play Eternal series, and today should be a really exciting day because we're doing our first draft. I also haven't logged in for about a week, so we have some new goodies. We get a new theme deck, just like that Elysian deck we had earlier. Now it's Stone Scar, which comes with a Champion of Chaos, which is a really powerful constructed card. Oh, and it's the new season, so I guess we get a couple of shinies in a pack for getting in. I think we were in bronze in our ranked. Well, our rank was bronze. Anyway, so we're going to draft today, so we're going to complete this quest of playing a draft and get this nice shiny diamond chest. We already have over 7k, so with this and just some random gold like from the draft, we should be able to have enough gold to draft 2 more times without having to grind any amount of gold. We still have Vara's Journey that we can win, which is nice. Primal Warrior and Raising the Stone Scar banner. Anyway, so let's go ahead and do that. Before that, let's open that one pack we got from our end of season rewards. So I don't know all the end of season rewards off the top of my head, but I do know that if you get up to Masters, the highest end of season rewards is 3 packs and 2 premium rare cards. That's what I got on my main account, and you can get it for both draft and ranked if you're in Masters in both of those. So that's nice. They used to give out a ton of gold, which was a little nicer, granted, but I think that the rewards are still pretty generous. Ooh, a Harsh Rule. So that's a really good constructed card you see in a lot of decks. Obviously, it's the most unconditional sweeper that we have in this game. Okay, so without further ado, let's enter a draft. So in my oh, here we go. Okay, so in my Forge video, I linked to a draft pick order on RNG Eternal, and I don't follow that anymore, but it gives you good insight into which cards are generally good and whatnot. I can already see that this first pack is insane. Anyway, the way that drafting works is it's very similar to drafting in Magic if you've ever done that. You get 4 packs, and each pack has 12 cards. You open the first pack, and you take the card that you want for it, and you pass the next 11 cards. Then you receive a pack from someone that has drafted previously. You get the 11 cards that they didn't want, and you get to choose and pick one of those and pass the rest. And then you get 10 cards from that same person, and then you get 9, and then 8, all the way down to 1. And then you open up a new pack once you've gotten all 12 cards from the first pack. Same idea, except this time you're passing to a different person, and you're also receiving from a different person. So there's an interesting concept called signaling, and I'll get into it in a bit. Oh, and one great thing that I forgot to mention, you get to keep all the cards in draft just like Forge. So if you see a bomb rare, go ahead and take it. We see a bomb rare here, Impending Doom. This is extremely powerful. It's a 5/5 flying for just 4 power. So it has a small drawback, but like I said, this drawback is small. It's definitely a bomb. Another bomb is 4th Tree Elder. This 4/6 flying endurance is very difficult to deal with for most decks, and it can win a lot of games on its own, but it just costs 2 more than Impending Doom, and the size is about the same. There's also an Amber Monument, which I would be happy to take in any time deck, and a Karmic Guardian, which is usually pretty good in Cumbre. One more thing about drafting, unlike Forge, in which case you're kind of on rails, it just shows you cards of 2 factions. You can play as many or as few factions as you want in draft. You could take every factionless card and try to make a deck out of that if you want to. So in general, I will try to stay in 2 factions. Some people like splashing a 3rd and have more success with it than I do. I'm pretty conservative when it comes to splashing. I just want a nice, solid 2-faction deck. And so we're going to take Impending Doom, and we're going to look to either be in Fire or Primal. I was talking about this in my Forge video also. There are a few faction pairs that are supported and some that aren't. And also, generally speaking, I tend to really not like fire. I try to avoid playing fire as often as possible. So I'm really just going to be looking to be in Primal. So this is the pack that we're receiving from whoever is passing to us. So the first and third packs will be passed to us from the same person, and the second and fourth packs will be passed to us from a different person. Oh, wait, did I? Okay. I didn't get a free draft. For some reason, I thought I had a free draft. Anyway, so we're going to take the Amethyst Monument here. This is a really good card in its flexibility because if you have a lot of power, it's a 3/3 lifesteal, which is relevant. It's not insane, but it's good. And if you don't have enough power, it's a power. So it's basically what you need. Even if the fact that it comes into play depleted or has kind of a small body isn't too exciting, the consistency it adds is very valuable. There's also an Amethyst Acolyte, which is a powerful shadow card. And the rest of the cards I'm really not that excited about. Bright Mace Paladin is a good card in Justice, but it's not great. Seek Power is good for fixing. This will help you splash or be more consistent in your influences. But we're happy taking the Amethyst Monument here. Okay, so we've got a few choices here. Like I said, I don't like fire, so both of these uncommons. By the way, each pack has 1 rare and 3 uncommons, so you can see that in this pack, for example, the rare was taken and then 2 uncommons were taken. Sorry, and then an uncommon was taken. I don't like either of these that much, partially because they're fire and partially because Blade-Tuned Apprentice with only 1 health dies to a lot of things. I think I'm going to take the sidearm. Shadow decks are often aggressive, and with Quick Draw, this will help get a card like Xenon Destroyer through. Is that the right card? The Lifesteal Reckless? I think so. There's also Stone Scar Stranger, and you usually end up playing like some number of strangers. I think Towering Terrazon is actually one of the better commons in the whole set. It's just huge. It's really big. So we're going to take the sidearm and hope that it helps our game plan of being aggressive. Alright, here we have a Plague and a Cobalt Acolyte, I think. Plague is very good. This effect is permanent. It's not like these effects in Magic often are, where they only last a turn. This gives -1 to -1 to all of your opponent's units, which can be huge. If they have a lot of units, that is a very big effect. We've also got a Cobalt Acolyte, which is great for giving something flying. And I do think that it's a, it's a reasonable decision. If I were to say, I think Plague is actually better. Cobalt Acolyte is very good, but I think Plague is actually just generally better. If Cobalt Acolyte was better than the Plague, I might still take the Plague anyway, just because I want to strengthen the faction that I'm playing for sure. Okay, so we're going to take Plague here. Oh, this is interesting. So Gilded Glaive is a really good card, but it's double Justice, and I think that's going to be difficult to get in a deck that's already so heavy Shadow. Argenport, which is the faction pair of Shadow and Justice, is not supported, so that's a problem. There's also Fortunate Stranger, which is very good if you can make the Strangers deck happen, but I would not advise it. It's difficult. And, in my opinion, kind of inconsistent. You need a lot of good strangers to make it work. But on the other hand, we're not passing up that much. There's Flash Freeze, which is pretty good, and Devour, which is okay. So maybe I'll take the Fortunate Stranger just for the upside of, in case we end up playing strangers. Obviously, what you want to do is you want to play Fortunate Stranger than a bunch of other strangers. I don't know, but maybe I'll go back on that. I'll just take the Flash Freeze. I like having at least 1 Flash Freeze in Film decks, which is Shadow Primal. So I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, here, there's a rare in this pack, which is nice for building the collection, but I don't think I can pass up the Cobalt Monument. This, unlike other monuments, is actually really good as a 5-power unit. I would play a 5-power 3/4 all day. I play 5-power 3/3s all the time, right? There's a Who Fledgling in Justice. It's a good card. It's a 5-power 3/3 flying. But this one has the added benefit. First of all, it's bigger, 3/4. and it has the added benefit of being a power for when you really need it. So we're really happy with this. Alright. Legion Pathfinder's an okay card. I don't think it's insane, but it's okay. Dayv Rampager is a card that you're really embarrassed to play most of the time if you have to play it. It's just 6 for a 6/4. We've got like 4 for 5/5 flying. So the size isn't too exciting. We do need more units, but I'm just going to take the Backlash here. I'm certainly okay playing a Backlash. I'm not too okay playing a 6 power 6/4. Alright, we're going to take this Scavenging Vulture here. It's the only thing in our factions. I think Combre Magister is pretty good. Stalwart Shield is also pretty good. Justice might be open from this side, but getting that late Cobalt Monument makes me think that Primal is also open. And Dormant Sentinel is certainly worth taking. It's just very big in time decks, and time decks need a way to break through eventually. Okay, Haunting Scream's an interesting one. If you get a lot of Gorgon Fanatics, it can be pretty good, but if you don't, it doesn't really work that well with other cards. I guess it can be used with the Impending Doom to some effect. We're just going to take the Scavenging Vulture. Vulture, if it's a 2/1 flyer, is just a solid flying attacker. Okay, we'll take the Granite Acolyte here. Not likely to play any of these cards. We'll take the Helm. All these fire cards that I'm not interested in. Okay, so we have another interesting pick. I think the pick is the Amethyst Monument here. Dral's Frostkin is a pretty solid card, and a lot of the time in these types of decks you're going to want one. But I think that the flexibility provided by the Amethyst Monument is better. There's also an Elysian Stranger, which provides factions in case you want to splash time. There's a Vault of the Praxis, which is not really, it's a rare, so it disenchants for 200 stones, but I think we're going to be happy with the monument here. Ooh. Well, okay, we can try to win the draft, in which case we take the Rapid Shot, which is great for attacking. Once I had a draft with, I think, 3 of these and also an Elysian Pathfinder. I top decked one of these, and my opponent didn't block one. Sorry, I top decked one of these with Echo, so I drew 2 of them. And my opponent didn't block a flyer, and I was able to Rapid Shot it twice to deal 8 damage, and it was great. So there's Reality Warden, which is a 5 power 7/7. If there's any signal about this, it means that Combre is open, but we are so far away from Combre, I don't think we can justify taking this, unless we were just interested in disenchanting it. But I'm going to try to win the draft, so I'm going to take the Rapid Shot. This is the best trick, in my opinion, because it's so devastating on the offensive. Okay, alright, we can take the Amethyst Acolyte here. This is good for picking off flyers. It's good to sacrifice also, if you ever need to sacrifice something. That's just a pretty solid utility card. Amber Monument's really good. It's better than Towering Terzon. And then the rest of these cards are not terribly exciting. Looks like we are getting cut. And by that, I mean we are not getting past the cards of the factions that we're in. The person that is passing these packs to us is probably in Felm. There's no Primal and there's no Shadow cards. But I think that a lot of the cards that we have are good enough that I want to fight for it. Well, I could jump ship from Primal, I suppose. Cobalt Monument and Flash Freeze and Backlash, they're good cards, but they're not like they're insane. So we could try to take something like the Auric Sentry, which is a very good card. 1/5 Endurance Warcry. It can attack through a lot of things and it gets to block too. Or we could take the Felm Stranger, which is a card that we probably end up playing because it helps our influence requirements. And we could take the Legion Banner if we foresee ourselves splashing time in the future. I'm just going to take the Felm Stranger. We're likely to play it, I'd say. Even if we're just splashing Primal and we have to choose a different faction somewhere else down the line. Okay, is this an Arachnodon deck? Which one's better? I generally think that Arachnodon is better than Dayv Rampager because it's just harder to kill, but that might not be the case. I'm not a fan of Sabotage and Draft. Maybe I should be. Maybe this card's better than I think it is. Maybe I'll just take it. Okay, I've convinced myself. And we certainly don't need a Jotun Warrior, given that we have 2 Amethyst Monuments and Cobalt Monument that work better in that slot. And Dispel's like, it's okay removal when you're in time, but if you're in Shadow and Primal, you have better removal than Dispel. So I'll take the Sabotage here. Alright, Blind Storyteller is a good late game card. It lets you discard your sigils and get more action. Some people like Blood Beetle. I'm not a fan. Desert Marshal is a very good card if you're in Cumbrae, but we're not in Cumbrae, and I don't think we need another Flash Freeze or a Gruen. So we'll take the Storyteller. We're pretty happy about it. That's a good late game card. Okay, more good time cards. We're gonna have a rough pack 4, but I like the way our deck is shaping up. So I'm not too worried. We can take the Dark Wisp here. It's a good card if you have the synergies for it, like Combust and Thorn Beast and Devour, but we don't really have any of those. So then it's not too exciting. But I mean, what's our other option? Going for the Pathfinder, which I'm not a huge fan of in this type of deck. I think it's good for the slow time decks, especially if they have a lot of flyers. So I guess we'll just take the Dark Wisp. Maybe we'll get a reason to be playing it later. And we'll take the Levitate here if we have any Infiltrate cards, which is the primary objective of Feln. This will help it get through. Okay, Cumbrae Stranger, not interested in the Jotun Warrior. Don't think that Herald Song is good. We're just going to take the Stranger. Okay, we'll take the Cloud of Ash, I suppose. That can get people. So we've actually ended up with a fair number of strangers. Alright. Well, maybe... Excuse me, I have to sneeze. I think I have to sneeze. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay, so there's Vanquish, which is a very good removal card. And there's Stand Together, which ends up being pretty good. And there's also Cobalt Acolyte. There's Determined Stranger if we're really going deep on the time strategy, but I don't think we are. Excuse me again. Okay, so Cobalt Acolyte's a solid card and I like it. This deck could actually use a back alley bouncer, just a big body on the ground. We don't have too much of that yet, but I think that Cobalt Acolyte is generally better, so we'll go ahead and take it. Oh my god, Paladin's Oathbook. Oh man. If I took the Paladin's Oathbook, how difficult would it be to play it? This card is insane. Whenever you attack with exactly one unit, it gets +1/+1, so it can get way out of control really quickly. It's also really good at breaking board stalls. I'm going to take it, I think. I think this card is good enough that I'm willing to try to splash it, or try to make Primal my splash in order to play it. Okay, this card's very good. This Rebel Illuminator. I can take the Feln Banner if my plan is to try to splash. This helps me. I'm not a huge fan of Life Drinker. I think it's basically the same as Alchemical Blast, so that's not terribly thrilling. We're not really fire. I think I'm going to take the Feln Banner, help my fixing a little. I'm not too excited by any of the cards except the Rebel Illuminator. Oni Running's good too, but like I said, I don't like those types of decks. Okay, we can take another Stranger to help splash. We can take a Flash Freeze. I think Xenon Guardian is by far the best card in this pack. It's just really strong. It's really big and difficult to deal with. But we're going to take the Stranger. That might help us splash the Oathbook. Okay, generally speaking, I like Wild Cloud Snake in a deck that's Feln and has a lot of flyers. We've got the Scavenging Vultures to help make it grow. We also have Impending Doom. But we don't have, like, the Twilight Raptors that really make this out of control. So I'm going to take the Alchemical Blast. It's not exciting removal, but it is removal. Actually, you know what? Minotaur Grunt? Maybe we could end up in some weird Argenport deck. Generally speaking, I don't like playing Argenport, but this isn't as exciting as the Paladin's Oathbook, for example. So I'm just gonna take the Alchemical Blast. We're gonna end up playing it, and it's not bad. Okay. If you're playing an aggressive deck, the Trickster's Cloak is really nice. Helps force damage through. Can help an Infiltrate unit get through. Ghost Form does that too, I suppose, but Trickster's Cloak has a lasting impact. Aside from that, like, not excited about the rest of these cards. They're just kind of filler, in my opinion. Okay, we've got another Scavenging Vulture here, but I think the card to take is the Scaly Gruen. I have a bunch of flyers, but I don't really have much on the ground. I'm going to go ahead and take the Gruen to help shore up my ground defenses while I can fly over. Okay, Soul Collector is like, it looks like it could be really good, and it does get out of hand sometimes, although a lot of the time it's just too small to really matter because it comes in as a 1/1, but I'm going to go ahead and take it here. Maybe it'll be huge. Okay, and we'll just take, not interested in any of these cards. Tinker Apprentice? Not really interested in that either. Take another, I'll take the Peacekeeper. Ooh, that's a gift, a late Feln card. I did say that Pack 4 was going to be really rough, right? This draft is looking on the train wreck side of things. Okay. Beast Caller's Amulet. This could be a 3-power 5/5, but you have to sneak through, and that's not always the easiest thing. We could also take the Oblivion Spike, which is okay removal. It's a relic weapon, but like it's a pretty conditional relic weapon. So I'm not a huge fan. It's okay. We do have a good deal of flying, so maybe the Beast Caller's Amulet is the way to go. It is kind of high risk, medium reward, but I think that's our plan. We're just going to try to get through with the amulet on a flyer or something, and hope that's good. It's also good on Swiftblade once it's already infiltrated. There's Ice Sprite, which I think is medium removal, just because this is removed. It's like Banisher Priest if you ever play Magic, or Fiend Hunter, but this card can die pretty easily. And I think if it gets stunned, sorry, if it gets stunned, if it gets silenced, then it also loses the stun effect. So it's like a bad permafrost, basically. So we're going to take the Amulet. Okay, Dark Return. That's a card I usually like seeing in these types of decks. You get to rebuy something, and it's good with our Impending Doom and Soul Collectors. Also not bad with our Monuments, so we'll go ahead and take that. There's also Xenon Destroyer, which can be really good if you have a lot of rapid shots, but we only have one, so we're going to be happy with the Dark Return. There's a Haunting Stream. Ooh, Lethrai Ranger. This is one of the cards that you absolutely want when you're playing a Feln deck. I think it's one of the strongest plays you can play on turn 2, because if you go first and you play this on turn 2, it's very difficult, and your opponent doesn't have an answer for it. They are dying very quickly. There's also Lumen Defender, which I would be extremely happy about if I was in time, but considering the status of our deck, I'm pretty excited to get a Lethrai Ranger at this point. It's also really good if you can Dark Return it. Ooh, Soaring Stranger? That's a good card. 4 power for a 3/3 flyer. There's also Twilight Raptor, which I think is a really good aggressive card for these Feln decks. We do have a lot of Strangers, but you know what? This is just so efficient. The Twilight Raptor is so efficient that I want to take it. If you can get 3 of these or so in a Feln deck, you are extremely happy. Ooh, Feeding Time? That's a great removal card. It deals with anything, basically. There's also an Ageless Mentor, which is great if you're in time, but we are not. So we're going to take the Feeding Time. Forsworn Stranger. That's interesting. I mean, it's good with the other Strangers because they give you influence requirements, but I've been shying away from going like hard into the Strangers. But I suppose we don't need a Stone Scar Stranger. Yeah, if we had taken the Rebel Illuminator, maybe we'd take these Stone Scar Strangers to try a splash. Alright, we have a Nesting Aviasaur, which we could splash. It's okay. It would be difficult to play, and it's not good for our power base. But I don't know. It's not a bad card. 3/3 flyer for 4. Happy to play it most of the time. I think I'm going to take the Aerial Ace here. I might end up playing it. Probably not, but it's a possibility. Generally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of Spider. It's okay, but against some decks, like against my deck, it does very little because I'm trying to fly over. And it also dies pretty easily. Your opponent can just snowball it, and then it dies basically for free. So I'm going to take the Elysian Stranger. Right. I don't think, like, there's a possibility that we get a bomb in our last picks that's in time, and we want all this fixing for it, although I think it's unlikely. I don't know. More likely than me wanting to play a Spider, I believe. Okay. Scavenging Vulture late is nice. We'll do that. Okay. So, go ahead and put in the cards that we want. Unlike Forge, you have to build your deck. And in these types of decks with 45 cards, I really like having 18 power if I can. Fortunately, we have 3 monuments. So we're going to have 3 monuments plus 15 power if we have as many playables as we want. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the cards that I'm really interested in playing. We'll go ahead and play that Backlash. It'll hopefully come in handy at some point. Plague, Sidearm, Amulet, Acolyte, Ranger, these three Scavenging Vultures, Soul Collector, Impending Doom, Twilight Raptor, Swiftblade, Trickster's Cloak, Feeding Time, and then we're going to probably play that Alchemical Blast. So this has a lot of room in it for additional cards. We can go ahead and play Sabotage, I suppose. Sabotage is a terrible top deck late game, but could use it. I'll go ahead and fit these guys in. And then like the stranger that fixes our colors. Oh, we have one more spot, so I can play the Elysian Stranger also. So I think this is going to look like this is going to be what our deck is going to look like with an additional 15 powers. We have 3 powers from the Amethyst and Cobalt monuments, and then we're going to have an additional 15 powers. So this is looking pretty good. You want to make sure that your curve isn't too high, and it's really not with this deck. Nothing too expensive in here. Let's go ahead and add that Feln banner. And go ahead and click the Add Power button. So like I said, you have the power. Don't use that word, Dave. You get to choose what your power distribution is in draft, and you have to be really careful about it, otherwise you might not get the influence requirements or power requirements that you need. So I think this is what we're going to go with. We have 15 powers, 3 monuments, and then the rest of these. I could also cut one of these cards and play 19 powers, including the 3 monuments, which might not be fine. Which might be fine. Excuse me. We're going to go ahead and take a sample hand. Alright, I think we'd be happy with this hand. You get to play the Scavenging Vulture on 2, and then we have the Amethyst Monument later. I'm going to go ahead and draw that again. Alright, this hand's good too. It's got the Blind Storyteller and this Feln Stranger, and maybe we can sneak a Beastclaw's Amulet through. Oops, and that's a redraw. Okay, this hand's good too. It's got a Flyer and a Scaly Gruin. Alright, we've got Flyer. Yeah, these hands look okay. They're not super exciting. I don't think we have some of the bombs that we would really like to see in a deck like this. But it's definitely got a way to win. You can win with Flyers in this deck. It's got some removal. It's got some good cards. I don't know what can we say. I don't expect 7 wins out of this deck, but I do think we'll be just fine. If you can get 4+ wins, you're usually pretty happy with your draft deck. Anyway, I'm actually going to split this up into 2 videos: the deck building and the drafting. Whoops. How do I? I would like to save. Okay, so I'm going to split this video up into 2 parts. We're going to do the deck building in one part, which is what we just did, and in the next part I'll play out all the games. So join me in a second, and we will be playing hopefully around 7 games with this deck, and hopefully we'll win all of them. But yeah, in the next part of the series we'll be playing the games of this draft. And similar to Forge, it's you play until you get 7 wins or 3 losses in draft. You have a little more leeway because you're playing against human opponents. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.